So I've done Odotai and Queen's Quest. Even did the now disbanded John. So what is there left to do? TCS is too new to justify a video on them, so of course that leaves only Stars. While they aren't exactly old either, they at least have enough history that newcomers might not be in the know. Stars currently is the group that is made up of a bunch of really talented fan favorites. They are known for their bright colors, ditzy girly personalities, and their inability to be an organized team. So let's see how they got there, and to do that we must start way back before they were even created. I'm going to go through a pretty condensed and simplified history of Mayu Iwatani. Nothing too elaborate, but enough to let you know how she arrived where she did to create Stars. During her years in Stardom, she always played second fiddle to others. Whether she was the young rookie of the early years of Stardom or teaming up with Io Shirai and Thunder Rock, Mayu never once was the one on top or in charge, always following behind the more charismatic or better wrestlers. Eventually things must turn around for her, and in typical Mayu fashion, the choice was made for her. At the end of 2016, Io Shirai betrayed Mayu in an event that you guys have heard me talk about countless times. Long story short, Io turned on Mayu, created Queen's Quest, had Momo betray Mayu the next show, and there you go. So her best friend, the person she cared the most about and felt connected to, ditched her and told her she was too weak and wasn't progressing. This was a wake-up call for Mayu and was the beginning of the change in her. The change to want to be on top, to want to mold people's futures, to leave a legacy. Even though this happened at the end of 2016, it wasn't until early 2018 that Mayu would actually start her new group. It took a while, but she was eventually able to put what Io did to her behind her and try to form new bonds. Stardom's Army. As some of you know, Stars was originally called Stardom's Army. It was a faction that pretty much had everyone not already in a faction in it. Even people who were technically in a faction at the time were made a part of it. Back when John was Team Jungle, Mayu made them a part of it without really consulting them. The first mention of Mayu's new group in a show was on the infamous show that included the Loser Leaves faction match between Odotai and Queen's Quest. After the match, while Tam was being kicked out of her group for losing, Mayu interrupted Io and decided that she wanted Tam in her new group, Stardom's Army. This is the origins of what would one day be called Stars. With this new group being formed, there were now 3 officially recognized factions, Odotai, Queen's Quest, and Stardom's Army. The main faction members of Stardom's Army were Mayu Iwatani as the leader, Tam Nakano as second in command, then Saki Kashima and Starlight Kid. Everyone else was just kind of a part of it without being in the main group. This time period was where Mayu's inability to lead really became apparent. Stardom's Army was so disorganized and all over the place that it didn't really seem like they would last long. Lucky for them, some outside magical force seems to like Mayu, and they were able to pull through and become more unified, and they thrived. Even though the team was new, it wasn't like these people weren't wrestling together before. They were pretty much a team before, but just not named. With things seeming to turn around for them, the Stardom draft was upon them. This was really the time that Mayu being a bad leader was even more forefront. Her inability to see how talented her teammates are and how she couldn't recognize how terrible she was treating Team Jungle. During the draft, Mayu picked Tam Nakano 5th, after Shiki Shibusawa and Natsumi. Starlight Kid was picked first, which is understandable. Securing your future first is important. Saki Kashima was picked second. This was also the time that people started realizing that Mayu treats Tam really oddly. She is constantly forgetting about her, even though she is one of the better people on the team. The biggest blunder that Mayu and Stardom's Army made was treating Team Jungle like they were second thoughts. While Tam was willing to put up with it, Jungle and her crew were deeply insulted. During their time as Stardom's Army, they didn't get any of the team championships. Their success as a team were only after the name change. The belt holder during that period would be Starlight Kid with the future belt. They were able to patch things up with Team Jungle for a short while, long enough to change the name of the group to something less generic. Well, slightly less generic anyway. The group was now considered Stars. With a new name, the group had been solidified, all except for one thing. There was a small tidbit that was causing problems. The fact that Mayu treated Team Jungle like second-class citizens without realizing it. This would eventually blow up in their face during the Stars-produced show in 2018. The main event was Stars vs. Stars, with one side being made up of mostly Team Jungle members. With Team Jungle winning, they split off to create a fourth faction, cutting Stars' numbers down. This wouldn't slow them down though, as Stars would go on to be widely successful as a team, even though their disorganization never really got better. They would hold the tag and triple belts multiple times, with a combination of Mayu Iwatani, Saki Kashima, and Tam Nakano. Things were looking good for them. They started working together more, they came up with a hand sign for their group, everything seemed peachy, until Arisa Hoshiki decided to come back to wrestling. Everyone knows who Arisa is now, but some might not be aware that upon her return, she was not accepted back by Tam Nakano. This would be the main storyline for the Stars faction for quite a while. You see, even though Stars was made up of all of the fan favorites, their storylines rarely, if ever, overlapped and involved the entire group. It was just a bunch of people doing things independently under the Stars banner. Unlike Queen's Quest and Odo Tai, who seem to constantly be feuding with each other, Stars pretty much doesn't get involved in group rivalries. Their major feuds in the group include Arisa vs. Tam, Tam vs. Natsuko, Arisa vs. Hazuki, Starlight Kid vs. Azumi. An important part of Stars' history is a period of time when Mayu Iwatani took a break from injuries. She was cleared to wrestle but was in pain and needed time off. She made a tweet on April 12th saying that she was going to be gone for a while. During this time, Stars had an interesting story going where the other groups, mainly Queen's Quest, looked down on Stars, implying that Stars was nothing without Mayu. This was when Tam stepped up and decided to protect Stars and show that they were more than just Mayu Iwatani. She challenged Momo Watanabe to a singles match for the white belt to prove that Stars should be respected. Since then, Stars has felt more like every member brings more to the table, but they still don't work well as a team. Currently, Stars are doing pretty poorly again, only holding one belt and that's on Arisa. While they don't usually work well as a team, they are united in a unique way. None of them have to act like anything but themselves, and enjoy each other's company. Many times during pre-match promos, the Stars members are all laughing and joking around. It's clear that this team is made up of a bunch of like-minded friends. It also seems like the only adult in the group is Starlight Kid, which I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. Many times I've felt like the only one trying to keep things rolling in a productive manner is Starlight. While Stars might not be the most entertaining factions, they bring a certain charm to the promotion, having everything from idol wrestlers like Tam and Starlight to ditzy wrestlers like Mayu, or overly smiley kickboxers like Arisa, or a delinquent trying to be a good girl like Saki. It's easy to forget about this faction when thinking of Stardom, but only because they provide the normalcy that the other groups can stand out from.